The Federal Reserve commentary that is in focus. Onto some key commentary then from policymakers. Governor Adriana Kugler reiterated her position on progress on inflation, saying that it is still underway. Also noting that the central bank is not going to concern itself from changes under incoming President Donald Trump. She also believes that the current policy is well positioned to tackle uncertainties. Meanwhile, you do also have Federal Reserve San Francisco President Mary Daly, who's added that a rate cut this month is not certain, but it remains on the table for FOMC members. In fact, her comments are in line with other Fed voices who have made clear that they expect the central bank to continue cutting interest rates over the next year, but also stop short of saying that they're committed to making the next reduction later this month. So that's some key commentary like that.
Okay, well, job openings in the US showed a solid uptick in the month of October, while layoffs declined by the most in 1.5 years, suggesting an orderly slowdown in the labor market. Job openings increased 372,000 to 7.7 million. Meanwhile, layoffs declined 169,000. That, remember, is the steepest drop since April last year. Also important to note, the street will be closely eyeing that employment report for November that's due on Friday.
Shifting focus to some stock-specific action, then Salesforce shares saw a healthy uptick on the back of their fiscal third quarter earnings that showed revenue and guidance for the upcoming fourth quarter beat street expectations. When you take a look at revenue in the third quarter, grew 3%. Net income as well was up 25% on a year-on-year basis. Meanwhile, the company also raised the low end of its revenue guidance, expecting a range of $37.8 billion to $38 billion for its fiscal 2025.
Okay, well, and then US automaker Tesla will be in focus because Tesla's sales of China-made electric vehicles fell 4.3% year-on-year to 78,856 in November. Deliveries of China-made Model 3 and Model Y vehicles recorded a 15.5% increase from the previous month. Meanwhile, the Chinese rival BYD hit yet another monthly record high, with passenger vehicle sales up 67.2% year-on-year to 504,000 units last month. But on that note, then let's take a look at what the Asian markets are also doing right now, because you have South Korea that's going to be in focus. That market has opened lower today after a day of political upheaval in South Korea that saw President Yoon Suk-yeol impose and then lift a martial law decree within hours. We'll take you through what Kospi is doing, 0.6% lower, but we'll take you through more details about that as well. Quickly taking a look at what the other Asian indices are doing. You have Japan that's trading lower right now, 0.1% cut. In fact, it's built onto those cuts, 0.3% cut coming in on Japan right now, roughly 150 points downtick coming in. Let's take a look at what Hang Seng and Shanghai are also doing, because they've started the day in the red, but yeah, well, seems like that Korean pressure is actually getting through all of these Asian markets. Hang Seng lower, Shanghai also lower by 0.2%. But on that note, let's keep it with Asia, and political upheaval in South Korea is keeping the stock markets on the edge. Nearly 2% cuts a day after President Yoon Suk-yeol imposed and then lifted a martial law decree within hours. The initial announcement immediately impacted the won, slamming it to a 2-year low against the dollar. This has, of course, cemented the currency's unwanted status as the worst performing major Asian currency against the dollar this year, bringing its year-to-date losses to nearly 10%. Now, as per reports, the country's opposition Democratic Party has said that it would begin impeachment proceedings to remove Yoon if he doesn't step down immediately. Yoon's chief of staff and senior secretaries have reportedly offered to resign en masse. And important to note here, other Asian currencies, for instance, the rupee back home is also at a record low, while the Chinese yuan is at a 13-month low, as traders speculate Beijing is allowing it to slide as trade tensions with Washington heat up.
Alright, then on that note, we also caught up with Professor Madhav Das, Director of Geopolitics and International Relations and UNESCO Peace Chair at Manipal University, as well as Ajay Bagga, who's a market expert, to get their opinion. Let's go across and listen into what they then had to say.
I'd like to say that this is the age of friendshoring. This is the age of decoupling. And you have to decouple because the world is now split into two blocks, both hostile to each other. And it's only a question of time when a kinetic conflict will break out between the two blocks. Let's be honest about it. It may happen in, I've been predicting 27, 27 as a possibly a critical date in which it can happen. I don't know. It could be a few years to and fro, but it could well happen. Obviously, the South Korean president has acted under the pressure of knowledge of a terrible imminent threat to South Korea. Now, rather than keep it secret, he needs to convey it to groups of politicians rather than keep it secret. Because I'm sure he's also aware about the purpose of these North Korean soldiers in Russia. Now, I think in a democracy also, even though there are national security issues involved, the greatest security is from your own citizens being well informed. And from that point of view, I do believe the declaration of emergency was a mistake, but it shows the desperation of President Yoon, who is a patriot, let me tell you. And I do not believe that there will be significant issues there. But this is also a lesson to South Korea, to Taiwan. These are vulnerable countries. And it's a lesson to both of them. For heaven's sake, friend shore, decouple, and ideally come to India.
The Korean Exchange has said they will function as normal. The party leader of the president has opposed this on a Facebook post, and the defense minister has called for the military. So we really don't know what is happening right now. It's actually come out of the blue. There have been political wranglings on the budget, and this is a minority government which would not survive a floor test. So overall, it's a very big surprise, and I'm sure the allies of South Korea, from Japan to the US to Europe, are working with on the back channels to see how this situation can be diffused. It is
Okay, that's the word coming in from Ajay Bagga on everything that we're seeing happening in Korea. But on that,
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.